Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to another You Be the Behavior Consultant with Barbara Heidenreich. We are going to talk about kind of a cool topic this morning, something that might look familiar to some of you. You may have seen this before, but you might not have heard the terminology before, and you might have heard it called some other things before, but we're going to get into all of that in just a minute. So I'll just go ahead and get started. Why don't we do that? So what are we here for today? We are here for You Be the Behavior Consultant, a live stream I do every Monday at 11 a.m. And how does it work? Well, this is how it works. I usually present a topic for discussion. We like to chat about things here. We'd like to get everybody's participation in it so that you can share your experiences. And I usually have a few videos to share with you. We've got a few of them lined up for today. And we'll explore the topic in a little bit more detail. And then we recap everything at the end and talk about cool things on the horizon that are coming up here. So hopefully you all will enjoy some of those cool things that I've got coming up in the future here. Let's see who's even joining us today. I don't see my regulars on here yet. Oh, it's a slow Monday morning. Everybody's got things to do this week, it looks like. That's all right. I get it. It's Monday morning. It was a busy weekend for me. So, well, let's get into the topic here. You don't need to know all the things going on in my personal life right now. We're going to talk about the high probability, low probability behavior sequence. And oh, Al's here. Yay. I'm always happy when Al's here, and hopefully we're gonna chat more tomorrow. That'll be fun. Oh, and Chris is here. Yay. Some of my favorite people. That's always fun. I don't know if you guys know about this particular topic. Maybe it's something. Oh, you know what? It was something that was talked about at the Art and Science of Animal Training conference one year, but it was called something else. And we're gonna. Oh, and Alex is here too. We're gonna talk about that. That little piece of controversial stuff, because there's a little bit of controversy about this name. Well, not the name that I'm giving you, but another name that's been given to this. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I don't know if this is familiar to any of you guys. This high, sometimes called the high P low P sequence. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. If you have, feel free to type it in there in the chat. Obviously, I'm going to explain it a little bit more. I'm trying to think if Chris was there at that conference. Al, you might have been there when it was discussed. And I'm wondering if any of you guys might have tried it, if you're familiar with it, and what it helps with, what the idea is, why we even use the high P, low P behavior sequence, what it's supposed to do for us. Anybody feel brave? Oh, we've got some more people that have joined us too that are not chatting yet, but are just participating and watching, which is fine. Yeah. And Chris says if you were there, you don't remember what it was. That's all right. It's the name might be throwing you off. I'm using the correct name, if that makes sense. Oh, and Annette is here. Yay. Yay. We have all our favorite people joining us. That's awesome. And more as well. I'm sure that are watching, but maybe not commenting just yet, but that's okay. You don't have to comment. We just like it when people are interactive. That's the whole point of this, so that everybody has a chance to participate if they want to, but you don't have to. I'm going to throw this up here. If you feel like it, just for some more prompts. Well, let's see. Oh, and we've got some more folks on here. Yay. I wonder if I should jump into a video maybe that might give a little, I have some videos, but they're human ones, but it might help you think about what's going on with people. And hey, Max, a first timer. We love new people joining us. This is awesome. Yeah, and I know it's tough to find a time that's convenient for everybody to join us. So I tried to pick one that's kind of good for most people. I think a lot of people watch the replay, which it's awesome if people can join us live. Yeah. Welcome to our first timers. You know what I may do? Which is usually not the first thing I do, but I may go ahead and play a video just because this might be a topic that, there we go. Al says, could it be behavioral momentum? Yeah, so a lot of people call this behavioral momentum, but this is where the controversy comes in, because there are a lot of people that will tell you this is not behavioral momentum. What's the right way to say this? That the high P low P sequence is not the definition of behavioral momentum. There may be some elements to this that incorporate some behavioral momentum, but behavioral momentum is just so much more than the high P low P sequence. And what I'm going to do for you guys is, as we get into this a little bit later, I'm going to refer you to a really great podcast that will help, and actually two of them, to be honest, that'll hopefully help clarify a little bit how the high P low P sequence is a little different. It is a lot different than behavioral momentum. And the reason I'm not going to try to, you know what, and maybe this is a good time to talk about behavioral momentum. I'm gonna touch on behavioral momentum, but I'm not gonna dive into it in a lot of detail, because you know what, it's a really, humongous topic. It's got a lot to it, and I don't think I can do it justice, and I still have a lot to learn about behavioral momentum, to be quite honest, and to really wrap your brain around it, I think is not that easy, even though like on the surface it seems like such a really like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I don't feel like I'm qualified to really give, like this great, like, da-da, here's behavioral momentum. So like the godfather of behavioral momentum is Nevin, if you need a name. And there's a paper out there that I'll put the reference to that in the final product that goes in our, animal training fundamentals.com, which you can access. It's not a making another live stream. I don't know, Annetta. I don't know that I'm good enough to talk about it yet. It's such a deep topic. But let me put this slide up here, just so we can talk a little bit about behavioral momentum theory. And again, Nevin is the dude, man, if you want to learn more about it. But here are just a few things that we've learned about, or that we've gotten from behavioral momentum theory. And, sort of the nutshell definition of it is that a behavior is resistant to change following an alteration in reinforcement conditions. So basically, like when there's a disruption in what's going on, that behavior is going to be resistant to change, based on so many different things. But because, and it's a, he's got all these mathematical equations to help us determine that. And it has to do with all the different things all the different properties of that behavior, not just, and that's why, sometimes, some of you who know me well will say that I'm not super fond of that whole trust bank, metaphor, because it's not that simple. Just because you've reinforced a behavior a lot doesn't mean that, it's going to be resistant to a disruption. It's more complicated than that. It's way more complicated than that. And those are some of the things that behavioral momentum theory tells us. And that's what Nevin and his colleagues really figured out. It's not so simple as, well, if you give it a lot of reinforcement, no problems, right? And so, like, here are some of the things that he's shown us, like non-contingent reinforcement can make a behavior problem worse instead of better. So have you ever thought about that? Like let's say you have an animal that does a stereotypy, and you think, you know what? Well, we'll help address that stereotypy by giving it enrichment. And then the next thing you know, the stereotypy gets worse. And so that's one of the things that they've shown, that non-contingent reinforcement can sometimes make a problem worse instead of better. Behavioral contrast came out of behavioral momentum theory. And so what that means is, let's say you've done a great job of, so I'll just read it. If you're trying to address a behavior problem and you've worked out a great procedure, but you're only implementing that strategy in one environment in which the problem occurs, you can plan on the problem behavior getting worse under other settings in which it occurs. So let's say you've addressed screaming for attention with a parrot in one setting and it's really handled it, but you didn't take care of it in another setting, then it might get worse in that other setting. So it works really great under one condition because you've addressed it there, but you haven't done it someplace else. So that's one thing. Behavioral momentum also addresses partial reinforcement effect. So, and this is one that I think is really important for our community because we keep people having people dispute this, which behavioral momentum theory totally addressed, is the fact that intermittent reinforcement schedules, behavior does not extinguish as fast under an intermittent reinforcement schedule than it does with a continuous reinforcement schedule. So that was shown with behavioral momentum theory. And then resurgence is something that a lot of us have experienced. So let's say you've put a behavior on extinction, like screaming for attention, again, is another good one. And now you've differentially reinforced all these other behaviors that have been working really well. So the animal knows how to whistle, knows how to talk, and all those behaviors have been reinforced instead. But let's say you start forgetting to reinforce talking and whistling. And so all of a sudden screaming comes back. So resurgence of the screaming starts to happen. And so those are all things that have been explained because of behavioral momentum theory. So behavioral momentum is just so much more than this high P, low P thing. And so even though there may be elements of behavioral momentum going on with high P, low P is not behavioral momentum theory, if that makes sense. But if you go to Google high P, low P, you're going to see all sorts of stuff that say it's behavioral momentum theory. But the resource that I'm going to refer you to learn more about this will tell you that even Nevin wrote a paper that very politely says high P, low P is not behavioral momentum theory, and that it maybe have some elements of it, but it's not behavioral momentum theory. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, so again, behavioral momentum theory is pretty deep, very complicated, and there's a lot more to it. And so I just made one little brief slide on it just to kind of introduce some things about it to you. But I don't think I'm very qualified to take you down that whole pathway at this point. It would take a lot more than I can offer you at this stage of the game. But I will refer you to two really good podcasts that I think you should check out on both behavioral momentum theory and high P, low P after this. So we'll get there. All right. So why don't we watch a video on high P, low P, and it's a human example, but maybe it'll start, you can think of some examples where you might have seen this with animals, or maybe you've tried it with animals. And I think the one I want to show you first is I'm going to show you this one with a woman working with a man that she wants to have him work on math problems. And so we'll just watch this first, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
This is my Unit 14 video submission. I will, instead of the questions listed in the rubric outline, since my subject, Adam, who I've already gotten consent for, has decided that he doesn't want to reveal personal information in one of my videos, I will be doing expressive identification and different gross motor demands as my high probability demands, and for a low probability demand, I will be using math problems. So he will only get a token for answering math problems. All right, Adam, are you ready to work?
Yes.
All right, what are we working for today?
Play outside.
Okay, sounds good. What's this?
A cat.
Nice job. What's this?
A hat.
You're right. Good job. Do this. Great job. That's doing that. What's the answer?
4.
Nice job. You get a token. 4 more. Do this. Good job. Do this. Nice job. What's this?
A hat.
Good job. What's this?
Cat.
Nice job. What's the answer?
10.
Good job. You get a token. What's this?
A hat.
Good job. What's this?
A cat.
Nice job. Do this. Good job. What's the answer?
2.
You're right. You get a token. 2 more, and then we can be all done. Do this. Good job. Do this. Great job. What's this?
A cat.
You're right. Do this. Good job. What's the answer?
8.
You're right. 1 more, and then we can be all done. What's this?
A cat.
Good job. What's this? Or do this. Nice job. Do this. What's the answer?
10.
Great job. You get your last token. Now we can be all done.
Sweet.
This is my unit 14.
So, I don't know if that made sense by just watching it without, having a whole explanation about what's going on there yet. But what do you think that is helping her accomplish? And any thoughts on why it might be working? and what are some of the things that you noticed that she was doing that were perhaps being helpful for making it work? And maybe any conditions that you think it might not be so successful. And then we'll look at some others too. Maybe we'll look at some non-examples, in my opinion, as well. Maybe first of all, what do you think the goal is there? I mean, why would anybody want to do this in the first place? Yeah, high probability behavior to increase low probability behavior. So it's basically about trying to get compliance, right? So, and I think that's a really important thing to talk about. Doing things that are easy and being positively reinforced, and interspersing the harder behavior, so the harder behavior is more successful. Yeah, and so we really are, one of the things I really want to emphasize here is that it's about behaviors that we know the animal or the person already knows how to do. So we're not talking about like shaping, a behavior that the animal is like doesn't understand how to do. We're talking about behaviors that the animal already knows how to do, but just doesn't really like doing them very much. And how can we make it more likely that we would get compliance, right? So it's really about compliance, and how do we make it more likely that the animal will comply, or organism will comply. So that's really what it's about doing. Yep. And so. And I think the interspersing thing is really important there. And so there, you might have noticed some strategies about that, at least, and we've only watched the one there. So you've only got one example of how it's being applied there. But there are some specific strategies that are recommended to make it more successful. And we'll talk about those in a little bit here. And maybe I'm going to show you, let me show you a non-example. My personal example is having my cockatoos touch a target easy and interspersing that with touching a syringe not so easy. And because maybe, because sometimes taking medication has been not so pleasant, so maybe that makes it less of a compliant behavior. Yeah. Okay. So let me show you a non-example, in my opinion. And maybe you'll see some things to do versus not to do. So I think this one was staged, to be honest. And even though it looks like the kid is complying, I think this one is a quote, what I would call a non-example. And see if you can see some differences, or a difference at least.
So this is an example of a high P properly sequenced. Okay, Joshua, let's clean up.
No, Mommy.
No? All right, Joshua, clap. Joshua, touch your nose. Let's hop. You want to hop or jump?
Jump.
Jump? Okay, jump. Okay, Joshua, ready to clean up?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Clean up. Clean up.
So stuck.
High five.
Did you guys notice any difference in that example compared to the first one? Let's see. Anetta says, I like the fact that he gets an opportunity to do an active behavior, getting him up and running again. I don't know how to explain. So I guess they call those gross motor skills. Oh, that was from the first one. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, he didn't get reinforced for anything. Yeah, so one of the important strategies is that every behavior should be reinforced. And so that's one of the important things. And I'm going to show you one that I really, really like now. And this one I feel like is very genuine and I think done really, really well. And see if you can notice some other things about it. I might let it play a few times because I think she does a really good job with it.
Kyra, clap your hands. Shake your booty. Okay, clean up the toys. Ooh, good cleaning. All right, I'll help you now. Nice. All right, stop. Arms up. How old are you? You're 5. Can you clap your hands again? Turn around. Oh my gosh. Okay, doing a race. Okay, on your mark. Get set. Go. Wow. Good job. Who won?
I don't know.
Oh, we both won. I think. Oh. High five. Oh. Okay, high five. I think you won. Did you win? Okay. Kyra, clap your hands. Shake your booty. Okay, clean up the toys. Ooh, good cleaning. All right, I'll help you now. Nice. All right, stop. Arms up. How old are you? You're 5. Can you clap your hands again? Turn around. Oh my gosh. Okay, doing a race. Okay, on your mark. Get set. Go. Wow. Good job. Who won?
I don't know.
Oh, we both won. I think. Oh. High five. Oh. Okay, high five. I think you won. Did you win? Kyra, clap your hands. Shake your booty.
So did you notice a few things there that were a little bit different? Besides that, it was very adorable. Any thoughts? Yeah, she was really involved. I don't know if it was mom or teacher, to be honest. Maybe it was mom because hugging there. I don't know if they're allowed to hug anymore as teachers these days. But yeah, there was so when we think about, if you can think about each of those behaviors as separate, we've got these high probability behaviors and these low probability behaviors. And if we were to think that putting the toys away is the low probability behavior there, and it also happened with Adam, that tapping and clapping and naming the cat and the hat picture were the the high probability behaviors, and the math problem was the low probability behavior. And you might have noticed there that the reinforcer was different after the high probability behaviors and the low probability behaviors. And so that's something else that is really important, right? So it was praise, and good job, they were using praise as the reinforcer for the high probability behaviors, and that it was supposed to be a better, more highly preferred reinforcer for that low probability behavior. So just like we would do with anything else, we want to make the value of that reinforcer after the low probability behavior something really, really special. But so that's important too. Yeah, and the rhythm and the pace and the pattern, that pace is important too, right? Why are we going so fast? That seems to be significant. That's important. And how many in a row is important too. How many of these high probability behaviors are we doing in a row before we do a low probability behavior in a row seems to be important too. So those are all really important things that you guys are noticing. So let's get into it. How do we apply it? Well, good point about higher value reinforcers, says Chris. Yeah, so there are some things here we're noticing that actually really matter. So we want to use behaviors for our high probability behavior that are really pretty darn reliable, right? We want to use things that our animal really, really knows well. That right? So as you already noticed, like the little girl was asked to, do a little shimmy and turn around. How old are you? Really reliable behaviors. And I loved, the reason I loved the one with the little girl is that, she was clearly having a good time. And I think that for me is why I enjoyed that one so much more than some of the other ones, because some of the other ones look to be a little bit more rote. It's when I think about animal training, and I'm sure you guys too, we're really looking to have a good time with our animals. It's, I think we've talked about this before in some of our training sessions, when we're just asking animals to run through behaviors, just to run through them. I don't know. I don't find that very enjoyable. And I sometimes wonder how much fun that is for our animals. Is it really all that reinforcing to just be repetitive all the time? I don't know about that. So, when we are truly seeing our animals go, man, this is fun. When we see that body language where the animal is going, oh my God, I really want to do that. It's got that beyond, it's reinforcing beyond the consequence that's being delivered at the end, if that makes sense. You guys know what I'm talking about, where it's got that automatically reinforcing quality to it, like doing the behavior itself has reinforcing qualities to it. And I'll show you another video that I think there's a little bit of that in it too. I think that really can contribute to the success of your high P, low P sequence. So, picking behaviors like that, I think is going to be more successful for you. You also want to pick behaviors that are about short duration. So, we're not asking an animal to, hold that position for 20 seconds. That's not going to help you. Or that's not the kind of behaviors that we're talking about here. We're talking about things that can be, quick and you're moving on to the next thing. We're also asking for things that are something that can be done, 3 to 5 behaviors in rapid succession before you request that low probability behavior. And then again, you can move it around, but you're not going to go like 2 low probability behaviors in a row. You're going to do one and then you're going to go back to your high probability behaviors. So you're asking for more high probability behaviors and then the occasional low probability behaviors. And you're asking for it in rapid succession, as Michelle pointed out. And that means they're happening within 5 to 15 seconds. So they have shown that if you're waiting like 20 seconds to ask the next one, that you're not going to have as much success with getting that low probability response happening. And we're going to talk about why in just a minute here. And you're reinforcing every correct response. But like we were saying before, you want to use a higher value or more of the reinforcer for your low probability behavior. And then in general, this whole session is going to be short. It's not going to be like a 40-minute session of doing high P, low P sequences, right? That's not what we're going for. So these are kind of your strategies to help you have more success if you're going to use this to help get compliance for a particular behavior that isn't, one that you usually get compliance with. And again, this isn't supposed to be something that you're doing forever. It's supposed to be something that you sort of get like, you sort of fade the procedure once you're starting to get more compliance over time. So let me go back to really what this is, what a high probability, low probability behavior sequence is. It's a non-aversive procedure for gaining compliance. And it tastes a little like Premack. Well, let's talk about what it is in a second here, why it works. Because it isn't the behavior itself that's reinforcing necessarily. We'll talk about that. And I do have the heads up here, behavior geeks. This one is controversial. Lots of people call it behavioral momentum, but some pretty significant names in behavior analysis say this is inaccurate, including Nevin, the person who described behavioral momentum theory. So this goes back to our stuff earlier. Okay, so let's now get into what Annette is saying. Why does it work? Why do they think it works? Is it Premack, which is you're saying that, the opportunity to do another behavior is reinforcing that behavior. And so that's really talking about a consequence situation, right? But the theory here is that this is about your motivating operations. So it's kind of the other end of the whole your whole chain there, your ABC thing there. I can't think of the right words. So let's talk about why they think it works. So some thoughts on why it may work is that it is reducing the abolishing operations for the low probability behavior. So they're really thinking of it as an antecedent intervention. That's their theory about it. So we have made it so that the response is more likely to be evoked so that the consequence can have a more reinforcing effect. So by having all those high probability behaviors occur beforehand, it's an antecedent intervention that makes it more likely that that next response is going to happen. So we've just made it so that the conditions are more likely that it's not as aversive to do that behavior, if that makes sense. That's the theory behind it. And of course, you are using that higher value reinforcer, so that's a part of it too. So people have asked, well, why not just make it more reinforcing to do that behavior, why bother with the sorry, it's garbage day. Why bother with the sequence at all? But there does seem to be some value with having the high P sequence in front of the low P behavior, because of how it affects that abolishing operation, by reducing the abolishing operation. Because obviously, I'm sure, people do try just making that other behavior more reinforcing, but that alone doesn't seem to be effective. But again, the other thing to keep in mind is that there are limits, right? And I think the really good example that people have shown is like, especially with like taste aversion. So like you can give somebody, bites of applesauce over and over again, and then follow it with a bite of broccoli, and it doesn't necessarily make it more likely that someone's going to eat broccoli. You know what I mean? So it has its limits, and it doesn't mean that the animal's going to overcome all behaviors or that it finds, aversive. So, and again, we think about some of our, I know like Chris was talking about, the syringe thing. We do have some situations where animals have really strong, sort of, I don't really want to participate in that particular behavior. Can it poison the applesauce? Potentially, yeah. I think it depends on just how aversive that one behavior is, and so it may not always get you there. And so I think you have to be conscientious of where you think you might apply it. Like just how aversive that particular behavior is that you're trying to get compliance on. So so I think you want to be thoughtful in your application. But it does have benefits, like it can speed up response to a task, especially because you're doing this like rapid fire thing, and it can decrease response time for completion of tasks, and it can increase compliance due to that really recent reinforcement history, right? Because it's everything's happening just so fast, so that it does have value in that sense. And I think one of the things that, we see in animal training that you have to be really careful about is, you'll see people do this rapid fire request for behavior, and then they won't reinforce each behavior, or animals learn that the way to do behavior is just rapid fire, and they don't learn how to slow down. And so I think what we have to be careful about is what it is you're doing and what you're asking for, and not getting into sort of this like pattern of just rapidly asking for behavior. So if you want to use this, I think it's just being very, very conscientious of what you're doing and how you're using it, if that makes sense. Make sure it's a very thoughtful application of it, and that it's an appropriate application of it, if that makes sense. And so I would really go back to thinking about, is this what you're doing? And, does that make sense? Let's see. The C will be the future, and the A, right? Not that I really understand this, but interesting. So the consequence, affects future behavior. Antecedent is, I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question just right here. The C will be the future A, right? I'm not sure if I understand the question. Can you give an example of fading the HPLP example? Well, I think if you just start getting compliance, if you start getting, you would basically not have to go through your sequence, so it might be that, so now you've got a person or an animal that you've done this sequence numerous times, and you're starting to get compliance really fast. There's animals not hesitant to present that behavior. You might just, instead of asking 3 to 5 behaviors in rapid succession before doing the low P behavior, maybe you just do 1 or 2, high P and then you ask for it, and then maybe it's 1 and then your low P, and then you just ask for your low P behavior and reinforce heavily. I mean, that's what I would consider. But and again, you might be having to go back to your high P, low P on occasion if you're starting to see challenges with that. But yeah. Let's see. High P, low P sequence tends to use established behaviors to keep the subject engaged in completing the LP task. Yeah. So this is like that first part there, using behaviors that are 80% or more reliable. Yeah. So you're not. This is not about shaping new behaviors or at all. This is about compliance with behaviors that the animal already knows how to do. So if you're trying to shape something, then you're going to be in a situation where you're looking at an animal that would be frustrated, right? Because it's trying to learn. I don't understand what you want, as opposed to, I just don't want to do it, right? That would be challenging for an animal if you were trying to use high P, low P for a behavior that it doesn't know how to do. It would have to be a behavior that it's just saying, yeah, I don't really want to do it. So I was going to show, I have one more video that we can look at, which is another child, but I think this one, the person, you don't see obvious reinforcement in the sense that the person's giving something, but I think what's interesting is that you can tell the little boy is kind of like, oh, these behaviors are kind of fun. And so I think that, that is where the reinforcement happens. Let me read Michelle's comment. Done correctly, or you're using an antecedent in high P, low P to get the low probability behavior, you can reinforce getting your cake and eating it too. Okay, she's answering for me. Okay. Yeah, so in this one, even though you don't see the mom saying good job or offering praise, I think doing the behavior themselves is kind of fun because she picks behaviors that are fun for her son to engage in.
Okay. All right, Aiden, all done iPad.
No, I don't want to.
Aiden, can you touch your nose? Can you make this face? Can you make this face? Okay. Can you touch your head and pat your stomach? Good job. All right, all done iPad.
Okay.
Thank you. You ready to start work?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So anyway, so again, I go back to, I think if there is a way to, sorry, we've got all sorts of stuff happening outside today. I think if it's a way to, get past in my opinion, like when I look at these videos, the way that I think can increase your likelihood of having success is that if it's fun, if those high P behaviors are also fun behaviors, they have, intrinsically reinforcing qualities to them as well, or that may have some effect on your success as well. I like that she asked for behavior that the kid has to put the iPad down. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. But, I think about behavior that, we all have things that our animals do that they see as more fun. Like I have this one behavior I do with my dog where he puts his nose on those plastic targets that I have from Stony. And I don't know why he just loves doing those behaviors. But when I bring out those targets, he's like, oh, I can't wait to put my face on those targets. He just loves doing them. He literally I think it's because for lack of a better word, it's like, he's like, I know what I'm supposed to do. That's what his body language says. He's just like, here I go. And he sticks his face on it. And wherever and I was just doing discriminations because they're different shapes and colors. And when I, say the SD and put them in different places and, he has to figure out which one to go to. He's like, yes, yes, you know, his whole body language just gets all fired up when I do that with him. And so for me, I can just tell by his body language, those are behaviors he really just loves to do. And I feel like for me, if I had a behavior that I was having a challenge with, I would totally pick, you know, at least, you know, some of those as behaviors that I would include as my high P behaviors, because he finds those, you know, the way that I would interpret it, he finds those behaviors as fun ones to do. But, you know, I thought about filming something, but I was like, I don't know, I can't even think of a behavior right now that is like one that is like, he's like, oh, I don't really want to do it. So and you know, the week was crazy busy, so I didn't have time to go dig around for a good animal video to share with you. So my challenge for you guys is, if you go out and practice this, you know, go video something that we can share on the Facebook page or in Animal Training Fundamentals with each other, so we can all share some good animal examples of this. But I would love for it to be, you know, like really using the strategies here, because I think unfortunately what I've seen is not necessarily following all of these criteria, and it would be really nice to really see that criteria, you know, to really see this in place and really see, you know, the kind of results that you know, can happen with that. So it would be more fun to have some examples of that if anybody feels challenged, feels up to the challenge, and so we can really illustrate how high P, low P behavior sequence can look like in the animal training world. I think that would be fun. So anyway, so there you go. So there's a new strategy. Well, maybe not new for some people, but some new detail. It would be let's see. It would be interesting to do a behavior. You be the behavior consultant to discuss what makes happy animals when training with different species. Yeah, I know. Boy, very, very good question there. Yeah, and operationalizing what happy looks like. And as animal trainers, I'm sure we all have our interpretation of what that looks like. But yeah, for sure, I would say, you know, there's something to that for sure. I actually also had in one you know, a long time ago when I did that thing on weight management, I thought it would be really, really helpful if we could operationalize what hunger looks like, because I do think, you know, it looks, you know, we could do that for different, and it looks different in different species. And it also obviously, you know, it also can be what hunger looks like can also be reinforced, right? So but I also think it also looks different when it's reinforced than when it's just an animal that's just, you know, been sitting all day without food, and you walk by, you know, with food and it's like, blah, you know, but or, you know, or it's just, you're just giving it food. But I also think that can be operationalized too. And I think that would be really helpful. It's a lot of work. It looks different in different species, you know, but you know, just how fast an animal eats food. And, you know, when we talk about different species, you know, they manipulate food different based on how hungry they are. And I always thought that would be really helpful too, for a lot of people, especially people who are new to a species and trying to evaluate a quote level of hunger. So there's a lot of cool things that we could operationalize. Anyway, all right. Well, there you go. So there's a topic for you guys, a strategy to consider that might be useful for you in your toolbox if you're trying to gain compliance on a behavior that an animal already knows how to do but is hesitant to do for various reasons. And just to kind of recap it, the high P, low P behavior sequence is a non-aversive procedure for gaining compliance on low probability behaviors. While yes, it kind of incorporates behavioral momentum, don't get caught up in thinking that this is behavioral momentum, despite what you will see when you will Google. I guarantee you will see that all over the place when you Google. Behavioral momentum theory is much, much more. Why is it controversial as behavioral momentum? Why does Nevin disagree? Why does Nevin think this is? Oh, sorry. Dog is just so barky today. Yeah, so there's a whole paper on that. And now would be a good time for me to refer you to those two podcasts, because it is I can't wrap it up in a nutshell on all that stuff. So if you go to, sorry, I'm going to let him stop barking. Because I want you to hear what I have to say here. So I'm going to let him finish, and then I will. It is, not only is it garbage day, it is also the week that they pick up all the, like if you have household items you want to put out. So that means everybody is cruising by the house and looking at all the, like, if you've put furniture out on the lawn or, broken appliances or whatever. So everything's out there. All right. Okay. So where I want you to go is there's a podcast called the ABA Inside Track. And I believe it is episode 85 and 86. And one of them is on behavioral momentum, and one of them is on the high P, low P sequence. And both of them will discuss this topic. Ahern, Dr. Ahern is the guest on the behavioral momentum one, and and they also have links to all the research articles that discuss this, and also Nevin's response to Mace, I believe it is, about why high P, low P is not behavioral momentum. And so that's going to be the great place to get all that information by the people who, were the dudes. They are far more experts on this than I am. And so they're going to be the ones who I think would be really good ones for you to listen to about that controversy, and who can tell you more about why it is not behavioral momentum. Yes. Yeah. So those are the ones to listen to on that. All right. And actually, for those of you that were at Art and Science, Bill Ahern is really good friends with Dr. Newman, who presented at Art and Science last year. So good, all connected. All right. So let's see. It is an antecedent intervention, which we have made it so that the response is more likely to be evoked, and the consequence can have a more reinforcing effect. If your low probability behavior is pretty aversive, then the sequence isn't likely going to overcome that. And remember, this is also about compliance, not about a behavior that is not understood. So this won't work for behaviors that are not emitted because the animal doesn't understand what is required. And so someone's asking about pre-mac. So we already kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. So if you hopped on with us a little bit later, if you watch the replay, we kind of talked about that. Okay, so it can speed up response to the task, decrease response time for completion of tasks, increase compliance due to reinforcement history. And then just again, how to apply it: use behaviors that are really reliable and high probability behaviors and as your high probability behaviors and currently in the animal's repertoire. Use behaviors that are short duration when they're emitted. Ask for three to five behaviors in rapid succession before requesting a low probability behavior. Ask for more high probability behaviors and the occasional low probability behavior. Ask for behaviors in rapid succession, usually within 5 to 15 seconds. 20 seconds is too long. Reinforce after every correct response. However, use a high value or more of the reinforcer for your low probability behavior. And overall, your session should be short. We're not talking like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. This is probably going to be like, I don't know, really just probably under a minute, it's going to be really, really kind of quick kind of thing. So, so there you go. So that is your high P, low P thing. And again, I really do recommend that ABA Inside Track. And in general, that's a really good podcast for those of you that, are looking for more behavior analytics stuff. And, they've got tons of episodes, but it's 85 and 86 are the ones that you are going to be looking at with the first one's with Bill Ahern on behavioral momentum, and then right after that is the one on high P, low P, and they talk about how they're different. And again, if you Google this, all the stuff you look at is going to say that it's the same as behavioral momentum, but those two podcasts will tell you that they're not. So that will be helpful to you. Okay, and what's new coming up? You probably have heard, or maybe you haven't. It's official. GOATS, the Global Online Animal Training Summit. The second one is now scheduled for November 14th and 15th. Even though I have been talking to people to present, we just haven't officially announced it yet because I want to make sure they are 100% confirmed. And we've already been discussing topics that I think you will find very exciting and intriguing, but I just haven't announced it yet. And so I'm not going to put up registration until we got all that a little bit closer. But again, we're going to have, the member rate, the general public rate, and we'll have an on-demand option. So all that will be the same, but oh my gosh, it's a happening. And those of you that are members under like the facility option, I did make a resource to kind of help it make it, easier for those of you that are members to use the site. So it's kind of like a tips for facilities, ways to make it easy for facility members and make it reinforcing for facility members to use the site. So something to share with your teams there. And then I've also been adding some new journal articles to the journal library there. It's another one of those growing resources, just like the glossary. And these are open source journal articles. So, obviously I can't put anything in there that, is behind, that you have to have a subscription to the journal or anything like that. But if it's an open source thing that have found useful, I've been trying to add it to the library there. So added a few more resources there. And tomorrow's a Tower Talk. So anybody who's a member who wants to join that, just click on our Tower Talk link for the Zoom link and join us tomorrow at this time. And there you go. Oh, and if you're not a member, you still can join. Just go to animaltrainingfundamentals.com and pick a membership option and use the code sunglasses, and you'll get 25% off. And you can enjoy all those cool things that I just mentioned there. Of course, you can always join the GOATS conference too. You don't have to be a member to do that. All right. What am I missing here? My face. There it is. All right. Cool. All right, people, look at that. We stayed on track today. I didn't go over. Well, thank you again for joining me for another topic. And gosh, I got so many more for you. Just spinning around in my brain. It's always hard to narrow it down to what I want to talk to you about. But I thought that might be an interesting one for today, since a lot of people have heard of that and I've seen people using it, but I thought, let's get into the details. So if you all try it and take some videos, please let me know. It'd be fun to share those. You can put them in the Facebook group if you're a member of that, and maybe we can chat about them, or tomorrow if you come to the Tower Talk. It'd be fun. So all right, guys, I guess that's it for this time around, and thank you again for joining me, and hopefully we'll reconvene next week, and some of you I will see tomorrow, right? I hope. All right, I guess that's it. Oh, you'll have to try it with your rats. All right, cool. Well, let us know how it goes. I want to see if there's. I know my thing is, I'm thinking, like, I don't know if I have anything that my guys here at home are reluctant to do right now. They're all pretty compliant, so this would be one of those things I have to test out on the road when I get back up there. And thank you to you guys for hanging out. I do appreciate it. It's always fun to have y'all here on Mondays. All right, guys, it's time for me to go do some homework. Woohoo! This week it's stimulus control. So fun work on that. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you later, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.